Please welcome to the stage Cisco EMEA President Gordon Thompson.
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be with you in the room, and for those watching virtually as well. We have 21,000 of you here with us this week, the biggest event we have ever had in EMEA. Thank you. Remember the video, AI, faster, smarter, always on, everywhere, needing a secure network, an infrastructure that never sleeps is all true. But it needs you. You are the innovators, the challengers, the builders. That's what brings us together at Cisco Live. We're all living in a time where things aren't just moving fast, they're accelerating in a way I don't think we've ever experienced before. And the best part, all of you, every one of you, is in the driving seat. Over the next few days, you're going to see how far and how fast we are going to make Cisco the AI company of the future across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. You're going to get the inside track on the latest breakthrough innovations and how we're going to help you go faster. And how, with our partners, we're building the critical infrastructure for the AI era to ensure your data centers are AI ready, your workplaces are smarter, and your businesses are more digitally resilient. We have hundreds of sessions for you throughout the course of this week, all focused in keeping you ahead of the competition. Welcome to Cisco Live EMEA. Welcome to the wonderful and beautiful Amsterdam. And welcome to a defining moment for us all. History is written by those who show up, and often, more often, by those who move with speed and with conviction. Today, I want to take you back all the way to an innovation from 182 years ago. The Telegraph. It was a pivotal innovation of its time. For the first time, information could move faster than a human. Decisions that took weeks could be made in minutes. Knowledge that no longer crawled across continents, it raced. Well, at least by standards in those times. But the real breakthrough wasn't the message itself. It was the underlying infrastructure that made it all possible. But like any seismic shift, it brought uncertainty, it brought fear, concerns about jobs, about disruption. But industries didn't disappear. They adapted. They took the driving seat. And that's exactly where you're sitting today, but for something even more exciting. The Telegraph may have rewired the world, but AI, it's reshaping the world. AI isn't coming. AI is here. And it's moving at breakneck speed, where the decisions you're making today, they're like the ripple effect. They will define your competitive advantage for years to come. Where transforming your infrastructure is no longer about should we, but we must. In this moment, you'll either find yourself leading or you'll be left behind. As I think about how we take maximum advantage of AI in EMEA, I think we have to think differently in 4 different areas that we're approaching. One is time, one is trust, one is talent, and one is technology. Yes, the approach to these topics will be different in Europe, in the Middle East, and in Africa. In Europe, we'll be using AI to modernize industries and scale responsibly. In the Middle East, they'll be turning bold vision into speed and action. And in Africa, we'll be building the workforce and the foundations for lasting impact. It's really exciting. But history also tells us that these moments pass in the blink of an eye. And this is one of these moments. Time. Time is one of our most precious assets. It can't be bought, it can't be borrowed, it can't be paused, it can't be rewound. Right now, every second, every minute, every hour has never presented us with greater opportunity to win. Get it right, and the promise is great. IDC estimates that by 2030, AI investments could generate $22.3 trillion in economic benefit. But beware, time is already slipping away, and it's asking hard questions of us all. Are you moving fast enough? Are you still operating as you did 1, 2, or even 3 years ago? If you are, then the risk is real. Let me give you a quick example. We asked enterprise technology leaders about the shift they're anticipating with agentic AI. 78% of leaders said that agentic will significantly reshape their industry, how their industry operates over the next few years. So all industries are going to feel this tectonic shift. Few will be exempt. And 80% of leaders said agentic will be essential for survival by 2027. That's just next year. So we all need to redefine not just our mindsets, but our organizational DNAs, because the speed we're moving at today is just not fast enough. The promise of AI surrounds us, but our readiness really must catch up, and it must catch up quickly. Cisco's AI Readiness Index says it all. Only 11% of organizations in EMEA say they're fully prepared for AI. These companies are already watching their competitors in the rearview mirror. These companies are 5 times more likely to turn pilots into production and 60% more likely to see measurable value from AI. From everyone else, that's 89% of you. The clock is ticking. Preparedness can no longer be a long-term goal. It's an immediate imperative. None of us can operate the same way as we did last year. Am I manufacturing this urgency? I'm afraid I'm not. But I am an optimist. And together with our partners, and combined with the pace of innovation we're delivering like never before, there is an incredible opportunity for every single one of you here to build the infrastructure with the speed, with the security, and the scale that is necessary. But yes, it's going to take a different way of thinking for us all. So today, let me challenge you. Is time going to be your advantage, or is time going to be your disadvantage? Trust. Trust isn't just a value. Trust is the foundation. It's the currency that enables progress and accelerates change. And for more than 30 years at Cisco, we have built alongside you in EMEA. We know that we need to earn this trust every day, and we need to keep earning it. So what does trust mean for Cisco in this AI world today? Well, first, security trust. We cannot have an AI-driven economy that we can't protect. AI should start with safety and security. And we've spent decades defending the world's most critical infrastructures. And we're committed to continuing to do this for you today. Secondly, you want to know that you won't get left behind. That's why innovation trust matters more than ever. You can trust our innovation not just to create the next big thing, but also to ensure our ecosystem remains open, we're backward compatible, and we're ready for what comes next. We also deliver innovation that's built on your trust requirements. Yes, we're a global company, but our innovation is coming from engineering sites across EMEA. 34 countries in EMEA with over 4,000 engineers are building technology in and for EMEA. We have dedicated hubs from an AI innovation center in France to a chip design facility in Barcelona and collaboration design centers in Ireland and Norway, to name a few. Thirdly, execution trust. Across 58 countries in EMEA, we turn what if into what is. Together with our partner ecosystem, we deliver real business value. I'm always proud to say that 98% of our business in EMEA is done with our partners. Our partner ecosystem is a key part of the fabric of trust to support our customers in EMEA. And just 2 weeks ago, we launched the Cisco Partner 360 program, a transformation designed for this dynamic era, ensuring that we can collectively move with the speed and the agility to address your challenges of the future. The final pillar is sovereign trust, because we recognize that that is more crucial now than ever before. This is about finding the right balance between flexibility and control, and that's why we launched Sovereign Critical Infrastructure in EMEA. This is a legal commitment that your on-prem products are fully air-gapped. There's no back door, and a commitment that this portfolio will continue to operate in times of crisis. No other vendor has made this legal commitment in the marketplace. Ultimately, trust is the lens through which we must make every decision. So we at Cisco, we're unwavering in our commitment to earn and maintain your trust, because we know it matters. Thank you. I now want to take a moment to talk about another crucial factor, because an AI-powered economy that only a few can participate in is not a resilient one. We need to make sure that every organization, every community, every individual can not only participate in, but can benefit from the promise of AI, to make sure that nobody is left behind. Not one person, not one organization can achieve this alone, which is demonstrated by the ecosystem of people in this room today. You are a true orchestra of talent, truly. But let's take another quick historical tour. Just over 30 years ago, in a little training room somewhere at Cisco, a dream was born. And that dream, Cisco certifications. They're still the gold standard in IT today. And we've issued more than 4 million certifications in EMEA. And over the next few years, we commit to train over 10 million more people in our pledge to close the IT skills gap and reshape diversity in the tech industry. Thank you to each one of you in the audience or online who have taken a Cisco certification to help you and your organization stay ahead, because you are the future. Only this ecosystem of talent will fuel sustainable growth, competitiveness, and shared prosperity. But our workforce is changing, and we need to keep up. Agentic AI is moving from concept to capability. It can reason, it can plan, it can act alongside people. But most importantly, agentic AI doesn't replace human potential. It unlocks human potential. Therefore, we need to build a different skill set across our talent ecosystem, because that talent will increasingly work with and alongside AI agents. Cisco has spent decades investing in people across EMEA. That hasn't changed because of the advent of AI. Having an ecosystem of talent at our fingertips remains critical to unlocking AI's potential and allowing AI to unlock human potential. So, all of these factors, time, trust, and talent, need one fundamental thing to succeed, and that's technology. Beneath the glittering promise of AI, we've hit an inflection point, and that's that your technology infrastructure, the compute, the networks, the security, the monitoring, it's done an amazing job to get you here. But let's be honest, the same infrastructure wasn't built for the scale and velocity of our workloads tomorrow. And again, the Cisco AI Readiness Index makes it very clear to us all. 62% of you expect workloads to rise by over 30% in the next 2 to 3 years. 65% of you are struggling to centralize data, and over 1/3 of you are unable to prevent or detect AI threats today. The solution isn't about stacking shiny new products on top of each other. That just creates complexity and will slow you down. But let's be clear, Cisco is here to help you solve these challenges. I'm confident that there's no one better to deliver the outcomes you need in the future. Why? Because we're solving these challenges requires a platform that uses data to be more efficient, more secure, and more scalable. And over the past 2 years, we've taken this platform-first approach, uniquely combining networking with security, observability with collaboration. The result? That we're delivering AI-ready data centers, future-proofed workplaces, and digital resilience, all built on a foundation of secure global connectivity. Delivering these capabilities at pace is what you need to thrive, and that's what Cisco's here to help you do. It's no longer just about deploying product features, it's about delivering real business outcomes. You do that with platforms, not with products. And our innovation engine is working beyond full speed on our platform-based approach, faster than I ever think I've seen before. And you'll see and hear momentarily from Jeetu that we're making incredible progress and only accelerating our pace of innovation. We are not stopping. We are working at speed because AI isn't waiting. Let me end by saying that convergence of time, technology, talent, and trust isn't a coincidence. These things are defining if we can turn AI into a reality in EMEA. Not tomorrow, but today. And it's Cisco. It's Cisco who are going to help you achieve it and embrace this defining moment in EMEA. So, in a minute, we're going to hear from someone who is taking Cisco from vision to reality with pace and with clarity. That's our President and Chief Product Officer, Jeetu Patel. But first, something else happened last week. We hosted the world's leading innovators at the second Cisco Annual Summit. From this, it was clear that Cisco is at the epicenter of the ecosystem that's needed to make AI a reality. So why don't we take a look at some of the highlights? Let's roll the video. Thank you.
We all believe 2026 is going to be a turning point for AI. AI is moving at a pace much faster than organizations have the capacity to absorb it. And that's actually something that has to get solved for.
We need to reinvent computing, and Cisco's got to be a big part of it. It's an amazing time because whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Gemini, they're all getting better.
What are the non-obvious constraints that you see right now?
I think the obvious constraints are the biggest ones. Still, energy, manufacturing enough hardware, all that kind of stuff. The non-obvious ones that are most top of mind for me, one, how are we going to balance security and data access versus the utility of all of these models?
What does success look like?
When civilization is better, and civilization is made by every single individual pursuing happiness, pursuing prosperity, and pursuing with a sense of dignity.
Of the many reasons to be excited about AI, put it this way, if either the AI optimists are correct or the AI doomsayers are correct, productivity growth is about to go through the roof. Every single employee in the future will have AI, lots of AIs in the loop, and those AIs will become the company's intellectual property. That's the future company.
I think the role of a designer and the PM starts to fuse a little bit also because of what you folks are doing.
I think that all these roles are going to blur. Engineer, design, PM, research, they're all going to blur. But this issue of context for agents is going to become the defining issue in the next decade if you want to deploy agents in an enterprise, which is
to feed context in the most efficient way to agents as fast as possible, as economically as possible.
What a critical moment where we need what Cisco delivers even more. What I want people to go back to is learning how to be computer scientists.
Be thinkers about.
Yeah, can you think algorithmically? Do you know how to decompose problems?
I think the companies that are not set up to be able to adopt, let's call them AI coworkers, very quickly, will be at a huge disadvantage.
Most law double used to be 3 to 4 years, and now it's like 3 or 4 months.
You folks have been talking a lot about this notion of AI first cloud.
AI and inference in particular is going to be a critical part of every single application in the world. And so there's not going to be AI applications and non-AI applications. For us right now is to address the infrastructure, not just for local workloads, but really international workloads.
It's become a machine fight. And I think the data models and frankly, the global visibility that Cisco has is really unique to that fight.
Everything is getting refactored, so you will need to have a lot of infra to power a lot of apps. How far along that journey are we in truly understanding why a model does what it does?
I think now what we're getting even deeper on is how does the model behave in specific situations?
And so I would go find where are the most impactful work in your company, apply infinity to it, apply 0 to it, apply the speed of light to it, and then ask Chuck how to make that happen.
How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to start with a secret. That's an inside thing, but I thought I'd share it with the 21,000 of our closest friends. So Alex actually runs this event. And every time we have these events, I'm always complaining to her. I'm like, Alex, I don't have time to go to another event because then I'm getting out of shape and I need to make sure I'm exercising. And so she said, you know, Jeetu, I've had enough. I'm going to get you a stage that you can get 10,000 steps in during the course of the event. So that joke didn't fly. So, all right, well, welcome. This is an exciting time to be alive in tech. And I think if you look at what's happening in the industry right now, virtually no one could have predicted the pace at which we're evolving right now with AI. And it's also an exciting time for partnering with Cisco. We're actually very grateful that you've taken your time to be here. And what we thought we'd do is just walk you through the amazing opportunity that we all collectively have over the course of the next hour or so and show you some of the technology that the team is building as well. But let's start by actually zooming out for a moment and talking about what's happening in the industry, because we are right now moving from this era of chatbots that we lived in for the course of the past 3 years to this age of agents. And it's actually a much more consequential shift than any one of us might have actually thought, because what's happening is chatbots were largely productivity tools. We looked at them as productivity tools. You asked a question, you got back an answer. Agents, we shouldn't think about them as productivity tools. We should think about them as co-workers that are actually augmented team members as part of our team. Each one of us, at some point in time, in the very near future, will be supervisors of these agents. And rather than us doing all the work, we will be supervising the work that agents do. And the knowledge work will happen with these digital co-workers, which are agents. And then very shortly thereafter, what you're going to start to see happen is the third phase of AI, which is physical AI, where virtually every job that you see today will have an augmented capacity of workers that'll actually be part of that team, which will allow us to delegate to those workers things that we don't have time to do, things that we might not be as good at doing, and things that we physically just can't do. And then what we'll get back in return is the time so that we can focus on making sure that we can do the things that we really want to do. Now, as we've thought about this long and hard at Cisco, the question that we always ask ourselves is, what could hold AI back? What could be the impediments that actually don't allow us to realize the full promise of AI? And we think there are three such impediments that we've really spent a lot of time on. The first one is a true infrastructure constraint, because these digital workers are going to be living in these data centers, and we need to make sure that we have the appropriate capacity and infrastructure to go out and fulfill the needs of AI. Right now, there's just not enough power, compute, network bandwidth, the physical shell capacity for building out a data center, memory. There's all of these constraints that exist that we have to make sure that we can overcome. So the first one is an infrastructure constraint. The second big constraint that we talked about was this notion of a trust deficit. And when we talk about a trust deficit, what do I mean by a trust deficit? If you don't trust these systems, you're not going to be able to use them. And so we need, for the very first time, we've gotten to this point where safety and security aren't things that you actually have that reduce productivity. Safety and security accelerate adoption, which therefore becomes a prerequisite for productivity. So that's that second big area, is the trust deficit. And then the third area, which is an impediment right now, is this notion of a data gap. Now, what do I mean by a data gap? Right now, these models that these AI systems get trained on are trained with human-generated data that's publicly available on the internet. But what's going to happen is we're running out of human-generated data available to go train these models. And so as you start running out of publicly available data on the internet to train the models, what you're going to need to have is orders of magnitude more data that actually exists within the enterprise, that enterprises can use their proprietary data to train the models for themselves and no one besides themselves, so that they can create competitive advantage. Use synthetic data that gets generated to train these models, and then also have machine-generated data. Because right now, if you think about it, 55% of the growth of data is machine data. Now, why do you need all this data to train these models? Because these agents are going to need context. They're going to need to get up to speed on things that we want them to do for us. And that actually requires data to actually be fed to the agent so that they can get the right level of enrichment of context. So that's what's going to be needed. So those are the three major constraints. And when it comes to addressing these challenges, Cisco is at the center of it all. In fact, the way that you should think about us is we are the critical infrastructure company for the AI era. We're going to make sure that we can provide you with high performance, low latency networking that's energy efficient. We're going to provide you with compute. We're going to provide you with optics. We're going to provide you with security. We'll provide you with observability. We'll provide you with collaboration, the core plumbing that's going to be needed so that you have the entire necessary apparatus that's going to be essential for making sure that we can move forward. Now, we'll talk a lot about like what the core innovations are, but what I wanted to do was take a step back and talk about two very important cultural dimensions that we have shifted at Cisco over the course of the past 4 to 5 years. And they're pretty seismic dimensions of shift. And I'm hoping that you are all feeling this shift as well that's happening. And those two things, the first one is making sure that we can create a platform advantage. And what I mean by a platform advantage is that the marginal cost of ingestion of these technologies should go down precipitously for you, and that you can create a compounding effect. So that means that if I buy a piece of technology, not only is it going to add value for what you are buying for that one piece of technology, but it also compounds value for everything else that you have from Cisco. So that's the first area, which is we want to make sure that we create this platform advantage. And that platform means we are going to integrate the platform, integrate our technologies very tightly, but we're going to couple them very loosely, because we don't want to make sure that we force you into buying anything. But boy, when you do buy two things together, they should work like magic, right? And then the second area is this notion of not operating in a walled garden, but operating instead in an open ecosystem, and making sure that that open ecosystem is something that we commit to operating in, even if at times those players that we need to integrate with happen to be competitive in some dimension to Cisco. Because the way that we think about this is if we can start from the customer and work backwards, and if you've invested in technologies from 2 or 3 different providers, it's our job to make sure that you can realize the best amount of benefit from those technologies, and we have to operate as an open ecosystem. These are fundamental cultural shifts that we actually made in the way in which we operate as a company, and you're now starting to see the fruits of that labor start to really get to be manifested in the products, and you'll see a lot of that today as well. But I hope that you're going to actually find tremendous amount of value in these shifts that we've done, in making sure that it's not just going out and providing you individual products that don't talk to each other and operating like a holding company, but more like an integrated platform that actually works with the entirety of the ecosystem. So the question then that we asked ourselves was, what outcomes do we want to go drive for our customers, and what problems do we want to solve? And when you start thinking about that, there are just 3 key problems that we wanted to make sure that we focused on solving so that we can drive some outcomes. The first one was this notion that Gordon talked about, which is AI-ready data centers. This is where the digital workers reside. This is where they live. And we want to make sure that we can make all the technology available to scale these data centers and make them run as economically as possible. The second area is making sure that we really modernize and future-proof workplaces. And the reason that these workplaces are really important to future-proof is this is where the humans work, and they're going to need to collaborate with the digital workers. And we need to make sure that those places are modernized. Now, there's going to be a global connectivity fabric that our service provider customers use, which allows us to securely connect data centers to the workplaces. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can provide a level of digital resilience. And what does that mean? What does digital resilience mean? It means the ability to stay secure, up and running in the face of any disruption, so that your business continuity is not affected as a result of a technological outage of any kind, a security breach, a network outage, what have you. And so that's the core kind of set of problems and outcomes that we're driving. So let's go into each one of these and talk about what we're doing and what we're focused on. So we'll start with AI-ready data center, and then we'll actually keep going down each one of these areas, and we'll show you some of the technology and the fruits of the labor that we are now starting to enjoy for the billions of dollars that we've spent over the course of the past few years. So, if you think about data centers, Cisco is foundational to the world's data center build-outs. And what I mean by that is every major entity, from hyperscalers to neoclouds to sovereign clouds, to service providers, to the enterprise. When they build data centers, we provide them technology to go out and make sure that those data centers are operating effectively. Now, this is more important than it's ever been, because if you really think about data centers, what they're delivering is this new metric of global competitiveness, which is economic ability to generate tokens. And so this notion of an effective token generation factory is what we want to make sure that we deliver, especially in a time like this, where sovereignty is going to be one of the most important dimensions for a lot of countries around the world. So let's take a look at how Cisco is helping you go out and drive this token generation factory in an economic way, because the tokens per dollar per watt is the new currency. It's the currency of how do we go out and generate tokens with the least amount of money being spent on it, with the highest amount of energy efficiency, because we don't have enough power in the world. So what are the things that we should be doing to go out and deliver this outcome? So the way we think about it, in the AI-ready data center, there are three key areas that we're going to focus on. The first one is we're going to make sure that we provide you with a scaled AI infrastructure. That's number one. Number two, we'll provide you with the ability to fuse security into the fabric of the network, and we'll talk about why that's really important. And number three, we're going to deliver an integrated AI stack. And when I say integrated AI stack, I mean the full stack, from the silicon to the software, from the physics to the semantics. So let's go into each one of these in a little bit more detail. We'll start with scaling AI infrastructure. So it's not surprising what's driving this need for scale, because if you really take a step back and ask the question, what's driving this need for scale? What we're starting to see is that agentic AI demands are unprecedented from a scale perspective. These agents are going to be working 7/24 on our behalf. For every human, there might be 10, maybe 100, maybe 1,000 agents. At some point in time, we're going to be accommodating billions and tens of billions of more digital workers into the society to help us actually get the job done. So let's take a quick step back and understand how this industry actually works, because I think it's important to understand the architecture shift that's happened and what has been happening in the architecture of these agents and how they operate. So the way that these models that these agents run on used to be trained in the past is they would have this GPU, and the model would sit on the GPU and get trained. But then what happened is scaling laws applied, and these GPUs couldn't accommodate the model because the model got to be too large to put into a single GPU. So what happened? You actually scaled that to a server with multiple GPUs. 6 to 8 GPUs per server. But at some point in time, you ran out of room for even doing that. So what did you do? You created a rack of servers that got networked together, what they call scale-up networking, that would then be able to go out and act as one coherent structure, so that when you have a model, it can actually go across, it can be placed on those GPUs, and those GPUs work in concert with one another. But guess what? The models got even bigger. So now you needed to make sure that you connected a bunch of these racks together, and those racks got connected with switching infrastructure and optics infrastructure called scale-out networking. And then the pattern, you start to pick the pattern up. The data centers, which typically could have up to 80 to 100,000 GPUs, actually got to be too small for how the models were starting to scale. So now you couldn't even put the model in a single data center because you didn't have enough power that you could pull into a single data center. So now what you started seeing happen was these clusters that were all connected within a data center weren't enough. You needed to have data centers themselves that were hundreds of kilometers apart, that were scaled across with routers, with very, very sophisticated chipsets that allowed you to do technologies like deep buffering, that allowed you to say, if I have two data centers that are 800 kilometers apart, they're going to work as one ultra cluster coherently for a training run, like one large computer. Right? And so that's what essentially has happened. So now you've got these three architectures: scale up within a rack, scale out, and then scale across. And it means that these data centers are now going to be operating at very, very large scale. Over time, you can expect this to be at continental scale. And it's going to actually have, it'll continue to keep getting more and more power efficient. So what we've essentially done at Cisco is we have focused billions of dollars of our efforts on building these high-performance solutions that can satiate the needs of these AI data centers at scale. And so what I'm going to walk you through is what we're going to do today and announce in front of all of you that takes this to the next level. So up until now, we've actually seen a tremendous amount of momentum, but we're actually going to take this to the next level. So today, for the very first time, what we're going to do is we're going to announce to you a scale-out solution for the agentic era of the next generation. And this is a full-stack solution. And what do I mean by a full-stack solution? That means we're going to start with the silicon, the network ASICs that power the switch. We have a brand new chip called the G300 chip. This is what it looks like. Right? Martin over here is the guy that builds these chips. We make our own silicon. Cisco is one of the few companies that makes our own silicon, makes our own systems, makes our own software, makes our own security platform, makes our own observability platform, has our own data platform that all works together in one cohesive unit. This is a massive differentiator. We make our own silicon, and this becomes one of the biggest differentiators of why you should partner with Cisco. So we've got this G300 chip, which is a 100 terabit switch. It's a 100 terabit switch silicon, and it enables in-field upgrades without silicon spins, which means it's programmable. You don't even have to go out and do another spin when you need to make a chip. If you actually find a different use case, you can do an in-field upgrade of that. Now, these advanced G300 chips are available both in air-cooled versions of systems as well as liquid-cooled versions of systems. They're the most programmable chip, silicon chip that you actually that you will see in network ASICs. What we also have then is a 1.6 terabyte pluggable optic. These optics actually transmit rays of light to connect instead of copper. Gone are the days where we just rely on the power of copper to transmit data. Now we can do it through optics, right? So it's a 1.6 terabit pluggable optic, which basically reduces power consumption enormously as we're doing it, and it continues to have improved performance. And the beauty of this is this now runs on two systems. The Cisco 8100 system is what hyperscalers use, and then we also have the Cisco N9300 that we want to make sure that we make available for our enterprise customers. And the beauty of that is it can run either Sonic for the 8000 series, 8100 series, but we can also run now Nexus OS. And so the simplicity with which you can manage your data centers in the enterprise still benefit from the extreme scale that you get from the hyperscaler customers, right? And so that's our next generation scale-out solution that we're building, and it's actually completely magical. I think the team deserves a lot of credit for this, and we will make sure, and this is going to be available in 2026. Great. It's a whole new Cisco. It's a whole new Cisco. It's so much fun. All right. But we're not stopping at scale out, because we also want to make sure that we do scale across. Now, last year, we launched a new chip that goes into the 8223 router, which is a scale across chip. It's called the P200 chip. And this P200 silicon is a 51.2 terabit silicon that processes about 20 billion packets per second and consumes about 65% less power. But here's the beauty about it. Here's the beauty about the P200 chip. It has capabilities like deep buffering, and that deep buffering capability allows you to have these very large packets that might be moving from one data center to the other. When you do have any kind of jitter, or when you do have any kind of packet loss, it actually allows you to buffer that stuff so that you don't need to have the training run get restarted, because those tend to be extremely expensive when you have to restart a training run. So essentially what we've done here is we have a piece of silicon, which is the P200 chip, which is this one right here, right? And that P200 chip goes into the Cisco 8223 router, and it also has the Cisco pluggable optics. But we didn't want to stop there. We wanted to keep going. And so what we now are doing is we're going to be adding support for a 28.8 terabit modular router system, which is this Cisco N9800, as well as the Cisco 8800 line cards. And we're going to also have the Cisco 9364 NXOS 51.2 terabit chip for the enterprise. So now what we've done is we've got the scale across capability that's being provided not just to hyperscalers. We're bringing it to neo clouds, we're bringing it to sovereign clouds, we're bringing it to service providers, we're bringing it to the enterprise. It's completely magical. So when you start thinking about it, we now have a full scale out system, and we have a scale across system. Yes. So basically the way you should think about this is the innovations that hyperscalers have enjoyed, where enterprises have always been behind, but we now are bringing that to everyone so that everyone can use it, because token generation ability is something that everyone's going to want to make sure that they master. And we want to make sure we provide you the infrastructure so that you can generate tokens in the most economical way possible, in the most energy efficient way possible as you move forward. Now, as you build out these data centers, you have to be able to manage it all. And so what we said is, let's not just stop at the silicon and the systems, let's also make sure that we can manage this in a unified platform. So we're announcing Cisco Nexus One. And Cisco Nexus One essentially is a fully integrated stack of an on-premise Nexus dashboard plus a cloud management Nexus hyperfabric, right? And what it does is it gives you choice. It gives you choice to say, hey, I can use Cisco's Silicon One in a system, but I can also use NVIDIA's Spectrum X Ethernet if I wanted. It also gives you a choice to say, I can use a Cisco 9000 system, any of the 9000 systems. So we have now expanded and opened up our ability to manage Cisco 9000 with cloud managed version. We will, of course, be able to have Cisco optics. But most importantly, we'll also be able to have support for NXOS, Cisco ACI, and Sonic, right? So what we're trying to do is make sure that we provide you the ultimate amount of choice so that you have the best solutions in the market, where it becomes completely irrational for you to think about going to anyone else other than Cisco for your infrastructure needs. Yep. Now, the best way to actually experience this is not by me talking about it. The best way is by actually us seeing a demo. So I'm going to invite Karishma Gupta to show us what this Nexus One platform looks like. Karishma, take it away.
Thank you, Jeetu. Very excited to be here today. Today, I'm going to show you a brand new cloud-powered way to run your data centers. With this approach, you can spin up a data center anywhere in the world. It's fast, it's simple, it's hassle-free. Meet Nexus Hyperfabric. Nexus Hyperfabric is a key component of Cisco's Nexus One data center networking portfolio. So let me give you a nice live demo on Nexus Hyperfabric. Let's get started by creating a fabric from a template. So we have templates both for standard enterprise data centers as well as high-end AI clusters. Now, designing data centers is really science, it's not art. And Hyperfabric was actually designed to help our customers standardize their data centers across the world. So let's build a standard data center with a spine leaf architecture. The minute I pick a template, it populates the hardware, the quantity, the airflow, the PSU, in fact, even the optics and the cabling plan. All I need to do is save the template. Now, when I'm saving this template, it's actually creating a fabric blueprint in the cloud. This consists of actual configurations of the switches that we just saw, and it's up to date, it's valid. All we need to do is bind hardware to it. Now, it's a complex, advanced VXLAN fabric that we're building, as you see here, but the entire experience is built to be plug and play. The source of truth is stored in the cloud, including the cabling plan, as well as the optical transceiver details, in the same fabric blueprint. It's also self-documenting. So as I was designing this fabric, it generated the bill of materials, as well as the assembly list. And this is everything I need to procure the hardware. This does take out a lot of manual work that goes into designing and planning data centers. On-site deployment is another huge headache. How many times have you been on a conference bridge with an on-site tech plugging in cables? It's hours of what about now? What if they can see what you see? Here is a mobile experience for those on-site techs to look at a step-by-step guide on the tasks that need to be done and real-time updates on what transceivers need to be plugged in and when the links are up or not. Now, this does take the installation from days and months down to hours and even minutes. All I did was share this QR code and the link with the on-site tech to troubleshoot in real time. Now, today, we are introducing support for the N9000 series of hardware platforms on Nexus Hyperfabric natively. This is the same N9Ks that are widely loved, widely deployed across enterprises, service providers, and new cloud environments. This functionality delivers common hardware across the Nexus One portfolio, and it provides flexibility to our customers to use that cloud management model for their existing infrastructure. So here is an N9K that's natively supported in Hyperfabric, and it's supporting the same features and functions as the other platforms, including real-time telemetry that you come to expect from Hyperfabric. One of Cisco's powerful capabilities in the data center is the ability to natively peer and stretch networks using multi-site. Today, we're also introducing support for multi-site in Hyperfabric using VXLAN Border Gateway. Now, if you have multiple sites and fabrics across the world, you can actually use Hyperfabric to connect them using multi-site over third-party IP networks. The architecture also allows you to interoperate with other architectures like ACI and NXOS, and this can support use cases like VM migrations, as well as support complex data center technologies across fabric types, all using the same cloud interface. Today, we're also introducing support for Hyperfabric in Europe in a cloud that's hosted within the European region. So that was a sneak peek of Hyperfabric. To learn more, come see us on the show floor. Thank you.
Karishma is amazing. She's actually It's such a pleasure to work with her. So we're so lucky to have the people that we do working on these pieces. Let's go next to the second big area in data center, which is fusing security into the network. Let's talk about how we're fusing security into the network. So if you think about agentic AI, it's driving this kind of architectural shift of a hyper-distributed security model. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to think long and hard about how do we make that hyper-distributed security model come to life. And so it all starts with the firewall. And what we've done is we have fully refreshed the entire lineup of our firewall from the branch to campus to data center all the way to the cloud, right? And this is basically, it's not just a new piece of hardware, it is price performance leadership up and down the lineup in every single category. But we're not stopping there. What we want to do next is, as AI demands that security stays close to the workload, we need to make sure that we can bring firewall together with the other cloud protection products that are out there. And when you bring this firewall together with other cloud protection products, that's what we call the hybrid mesh firewall. And so now we're able to take that physical and virtual firewall, and we can tie it to secure workload, we can tie it to Hypershield, we can even push policy into third-party products that are not Cisco products from our management plane. But the truly disruptive piece is not just this hybrid mesh firewall, but where this hybrid mesh firewall can be acting as an enforcement point, because we can now run this as an enforcement point on a smart switch. And that smart switch is a switch which doesn't just have a network processing unit, it has a data processing unit. And so it's going to be able to run Hypershield in a very, very kind of expedient way, and it can inspect packets on the same device where the packets are flowing. It's low latency, and when you start thinking about these agentic systems that need to move really fast, you need to make sure that the packet inspection and packet processing is happening without it going from one device to the other, because that adds latency. No one else, by the way, in the industry has anything like this. And this is the future of the networking infrastructure, which is you're going to fuse security into the fabric of the network, where you can actually have security getting enforced on a top-of-rack switch, you can have security enforced on a server, you can have security enforced on an agent that's sitting right next to the kernel, but in user space. Now let's talk about the third part of our strategy, the third pillar of our strategy, which is this notion of delivering an integrated AI stack. And what we mean by this is it's one of the most significant partnerships that we've done for us with NVIDIA, where we are essentially working together on multiple fronts, right? We want to make sure that we can deliver an AI factory that actually has a fully end-to-end system in place. It's a great example of having this AI factory, where we actually have the reference architecture that includes Cisco, NVIDIA, and third-party technology. And it utilizes NVIDIA's advanced capabilities, it utilizes our advanced capabilities. We have security and observability in there at every layer of the stack. And these AI factories will have billions of agents generating trillions of tokens. But here's the thing. Token generation won't just be limited to data centers anymore. What we're going to actually do is make sure that token generation can happen at the edge as well. And so when you start thinking about a healthcare application and you want to do real-time diagnostics, or you want to do remote surgeries in healthcare, you think about a manufacturing application at a factory floor, you think about personal agents for customers in a retail outlet or bank branch, we want to make sure that we can have those tokens generated also on the edge. Now, what do you need to actually build edge infrastructure that's purpose-built for AI? It's great to have that, but the challenge you have with this is the edge infrastructure is essentially lagging behind what we actually need to have in the market. It's a patchwork of products, vendors, and tools. It's messy and it's complex. And there's no IT staffing in these kind of edge locations, in a branch or in a retail outlet. It's all centralized. And so we're solving this because we recently announced this notion of a new Cisco Unified Edge device, which basically is a new stack. And it's not just a server, it's a platform. It brings together compute, it brings together storage, it brings together the networking, it brings together security, all in one thoughtfully designed system. Let's take a look.
From factory floors to ICU wards, wherever something hums, spins, or beeps, data is born. Every byte is a breadcrumb, a clue to smarter decisions, leaner operations, even lives saved. A round trip to the cloud is possible, but some decisions can't wait. And while edge intelligence is ready, the infrastructure wasn't. Until now. Introducing the Cisco Unified Edge. Not just a server, an AI-ready platform. The difference isn't subtle, it's structural. We started with compute, storage, and software, then deeply embedded networking for the next level of convergence, all in a unified chassis with 5 interchangeable sleds, so you can build for what's now and be ready for what's next. We then set a new benchmark for unified operations from the edge to the core. Zero-touch provisioning and pre-validated blueprints for speed with precision. Intelligent maintenance windows for secure updates without business disruption. But it's our fleet-wide operations and end-to-end observability that others simply can't match. And because we know an unprotected edge can turn advantage into exposure, we fused security in. Hardware-based protections are foundational. We then apply zero trust to every access, humans, machines, AI agents, and assess real-time identity and risk for segmentation. We even make sure your AI models don't go off script. We assembled all these pieces into a platform with one purpose: to think at the edge safely. Cisco Unified Edge. Because the edge is not the fringe, it's the front line.
So we're really excited about the customer reception we've gotten so far from the Unified Edge as we put it all together. You know, Cisco, if you think about it, Cisco is fundamentally reimagining the data center architecture for agentic AI. We are rethinking it from the ground up, right? Now let's talk about future-proof workplaces. And when you think about future-proof workplaces, the workplace of the future is going to look completely different from the workplace that we have today. Because you're not just going to have people in the workplace, you're going to have agents. You're going to have robots, you're going to have IoT devices, you're going to have collaboration that happens extensively between these agents and humans. You're going to need, you will have very sophisticated threat attacks that are starting to happen. And you'll also see a massive power shortage, right? And so these are fundamental challenges that have to be solved. And here's how we're solving these challenges. There's going to be 3 things we're going to do, once again, in the future-proof workplace to solve these challenges. Number 1, we're going to fundamentally modernize campus and branches. Number 2, we're going to reimagine security for agents in the workplace. Because it's a completely different paradigm compared to the way that you actually do security just for humans. The scale proportion is very different. And number 3, we got to deliver great experiences, magical experiences with AI for everyone. Now let's talk about each one of these, starting with modernizing the campus and branch. So as we think about modernizing campus and branch, the beauty about this and the past year has been so special because we have completely refreshed the entire lineup from Wi-Fi access points to switches to routers, and we are extending that line across each family. We've unified the hardware, so Catalyst and Meraki hardware came together. The management plane has come together, and it's including, what we have now done is we've also included new post-quantum capabilities in the iOS XE 26 versions. What we're also doing at this event is we've expanded the secure router model. And so basically, it's going to have 2 form factors. One of them is DSL to fiber channel, and the second one is merging Wi-Fi and 5G, both of which are really important for the European market. We're going to make that available. And these new devices, what we're starting to find the feedback has been phenomenal. It's actually exceeding our expectations. Kudos to Anurag and his team for what they've been able to do over the course of the past year. And the beauty about this is we're just getting warmed up, And so we're simplifying basically not only the hardware stack, but also how you manage it. And so the features for large campus capabilities are now in this unified cloud management capability that you have. That's available with enterprise networking completely reimagined. It's going to have a single global view into a Meraki dashboard and a Catalyst center. It's simple, cloud deployed with plug-and-play fabrics. And today, we're taking it a step further because we're announcing a dramatic simplification of operations using what we call agentic AI. And so this notion of simplifying operations even further with agentic AI is super important. Why is that so important? Because as we start thinking about these agents getting into the workplace, we want to make sure that we are actually having our infrastructure operate at agent speed, not just human speed, right? And so this notion of agentic ops, which is the next version of AI ops, is what we're building out. And so what this is going to allow us to do, imagine that you have a bunch of ambient agents sitting within your network, just monitoring everything. And if they see a problem, if they see an anomaly, if they detect an issue, they're then able to make sure that that ambient agent is going to be able to immediately start reasoning and cross-correlating telemetry and figuring out what the root cause is. And once they've figured out the root cause, they will be able to, over time, create these digital twins, try out a fix on that digital twin before you actually roll it out in the market to your production environment. And so this notion of agentic ops is truly magical. So essentially, how does this work? Well, number one, you're going to have cross-domain telemetry with data. That's going to be really important. And that cross-domain telemetry is going to correlate the data to know exactly what's going on and what anomalies you can detect in your system. Number two, you're going to have an ensemble of models that are domain experts. Both large models that might be foundation models, but we'll also build models, such as a deep network model, which will essentially allow us to be able to get deep into what specifically are the domains that you want to train these things on. Number three, you will have agents that'll then be able to go out and conduct jobs and tasks and only come to you as a human when they need your judgment. And so the way that we have to think about this is the operating model and the way in which you interact with these systems is going to completely change. It's going to get massively automated. And lastly, you'll essentially have a multitude of different interfaces that you can interact with these agents with. So you might interact with the agent with a dashboard. You might interact with the agent with an AI assistant. You might interact with the agent with AI Canvas. You might interact with the agent with Cisco Cloud Control, which is going to be the unified management plane that we have, and any other applications. We want to make sure that we make this ability so that you're flexibly interacting with these agents in ways that you want. But yes, you will have a human in the loop, but the beauty is you're going to have an agent in every loop as you go through it, right? And so that's what we're essentially building with this Agentic Ops framework. Now, we're launching new Agentic Ops capabilities that include troubleshooting to start with, configuration and optimization, and validation. So this will allow us to make sure that in troubleshooting you can have root cause and remediation. With optimization, you'll be able to do. You'll automatically be able to make sure that the network is in the best state at all times. And validation, which allows you to make sure that if there's any changes that are made, that you're validating those changes before you actually roll them out into your environment. Now, they'll be available in beta in Q2 with some capabilities in GA in June. And you can expect to see this kind of agentic ops capability coming soon across our entire portfolio, not just within the workplace area. Across the entire portfolio, you'll start to see this. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to have Benson show us what this looks like. So Benson, come on up.
Thank you, G2, and hey everyone. We've all gotten that text of doom. It's 8 a.m., there's a critical customer demo happening in a few minutes, and the CPO can't get on the Wi-Fi. In the past, this was a panic attack. But today, let's take a look at how Cisco's Agentic Ops capabilities for troubleshooting help you transform this into a great example of your team's operational efficiency. We'll start here by taking a look at experience metrics on the assurance overview in Meraki dashboard. Experience metrics are all about user experience. Behind the scenes, Cisco's agents are continually monitoring thousands of individual client and infrastructure telemetry data points, up-leveling all of this into a simple set of metrics that capture the entire end-to-end user experience, from connectivity to capacity, coverage, roaming, and even applications. And if there's an issue, this page also updates live, so you'll get real-time information about what's degraded, and as you make changes, you'll see that reflect right here. In this case, it looks like our successful connects are degraded. So let's start troubleshooting. We all know the first step for troubleshooting, of course, is we gotta go to dark mode. And just like that, let's take a look. I'll zoom right in for us here on the right-hand side, and I'll see that even before I click, the biggest contributor to our failures is DHCP. I'll go ahead and click on that, and I immediately get an AI summary describing the problem. What I learned is that it's not just G2's laptop that's having a hard time, it's actually 35% of our clients. And I can see right below that some tools for investigation. I see the reason why is that one of our servers is at 70% failure rate. Let's go ahead though and prioritize getting G2's laptop back online first. So I'll click on clients, and conveniently, there's a troubleshoot button located next to the client name. And once I do that, I'll start interacting with the agent directly in Meraki dashboard in the AI assistant right here. And note, as the agent thinks through this, we're not just getting a simple input-output. We're actively engaging with the agent. And so let's take a look at what the response says. We're getting information that's specific about connectivity, right? Because the agent knows the entire end-to-end user experience. It knows it's not a roaming issue, application. It's focused on connectivity. And so here we see some relevant details, a great topology graph, some recent failure events. But I want to call our attention here to the bottom. It's calling out the root cause. The agent hasn't just identified there is a problem, it's telling us what caused it. And most importantly, notice at the bottom here, it's even telling us what the next step is. And if I want to click on that, I'll even see what the plan is that the agent's put together for us. Again, the agent's identified a problem, and it's saying, I know how to solve that. Click right here. So let's go ahead and run the plan and work through this with the agent. We can click on this helpful caret and see even more information. And you'll see first, it's validating the input values, right? It knows we want to address this issue. And if we look over here, it's identified the right organization and network to modify, all on its own. It's figured out where to pay focus to. And now it's also ready to apply some new VLAN values. Notice that this isn't a blank set of variables for me to input, but the agent thought through that, found the right VLAN, network, organization. It even did the math for me on the right IP subnet size. This all looks great, so I'm going to hit continue. And if we look down at the bottom here, it looks like the flow is going ahead and has successfully completed. And I want to take a beat here and recognize that it's only been a few clicks. It's only been a few minutes, really. And we've gone from understanding there was a problem, identifying that within the agent, working with the AI assistant right here. And now, if we close back out of the agent and AI assistant, hopefully we'll see that score pop back up. And there we go, back up to 96%. And so G2, your laptop's back online, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, thank you. By the way, I just for both of these, just so you folks know, these were live demos in front of 21,000 people. Can you give them a big round of applause? Yeah. Look, I'm so proud of the body of work that we've done in data center and campus branch. I think there's just a lot of innovation. There's a lot of momentum. There's a spring in the step in the company, and I'm hoping that you're feeling it as well. So next, let's actually talk about reimagining security for agents in the workplace. Because when you start thinking about zero trust, which is least privileged access, we want to make sure that that is the core foundation from which we need to not just secure humans connecting to applications, but agents connecting to agents and agents connecting to applications. Because right now what we have is we've basically connected with our secure access product and with zero trust, connect every device, every person, everything to any application with the same experience. That's what we've done. That's what we've delivered to the market. And we are actually seeing a tremendous amount of take rate. It's one of the fastest growing products that we've built in the history of Cisco. Now, our key differentiator over here is our approach to identity, because unlike other solutions, we don't rely on static entitlements. We dynamically assess behavior and actions and intercept when needed, right? But this identity intelligence is a core part of what we end up doing over there. And it's great because this agentic AI movement, it gets more and more challenging, but we've got the right technologies to keep helping you address those challenges. So let's talk about like what the issues are that could actually happen, because when you start thinking about reimagining agentic workflows, you have to think about reimagining security for the agentic workflows. Think about hundreds of thousands of agents in your organization operating at machine speed that are just ingrained in your business everywhere. And what we are essentially doing is we are addressing two big challenges over here. The first challenge is we want to make sure that we can protect agents from the world, right? So that the world doesn't go out and start jailbreaking the agents and attacking the agents and having prompt injection attacks. We want to make sure that we can protect the agents from the world. This is what we use our technology called AI defense to do for us. The second big challenge that we want to solve is we want to protect the world from agents. That's what secure access does. And this is where we make sure that the agents have guardrails and they can't just go out and start doing stuff that could be coming in harm's way of the company or someone else. And these are two extremely important areas which we need to actually come together on. Because when you start thinking about these agents, the way that you have to actually configure them, it's very similar to the way that humans qualify to get work done. What happens for a human when they actually start to say, I want to be part of a team? Well, they interview for skills. Once they've been interviewed, there's a background check that happens. When the background check happens, they might have a reference check that goes on. And at some point in time, once you start the job, you might have reviews that happen with your manager on a regular basis. Agents are no different. We're going to have to do the same things. But you have to create the security and safety apparatus to make sure that that starts happening for every single agent that you actually have conducting work within your organization. So, when you start thinking about what we've done to innovate with AI defense, essentially over here what we're doing is fundamentally rethinking. With chatbots, you have to worry about the way that what they would say. The problem with agents is you have to worry about what they're going to do. And so what we need to have is the ability to be able to scan through your entire environment and rethink the entire end-to-end supply chain for software. Right? From the time that they think about using a model to an MCP server to what they actually end up doing across every single step of the way, we have to automate that entire supply chain. We have to actually make sure that the validation of the model happens algorithmically, and we advance those algorithmic validations. We actually have runtime guardrails that can be applied for an agent, and then we can make sure that we can protect both agents and models on a regular basis. So that's what we're essentially doing with Cisco AI Defense with these new capabilities that we're building. Now, the beauty is these agents always rely on MCP servers, and we have native visibility and protection for these MCP servers directly. So you can now start to scan these MCP servers and see how they're behaving and make sure that you can intercept them. And that's what happens with secure access. And so available in May this year, what you'll essentially have is the ability for secure access to protect the world of agents. We are providing agent protection capability natively in secure access as we move forward, right? It's amazing. So let's move to the next piece, because there's more over here. Because what we're doing is we're also making sure that we can deliver a single vendor SASE solution. Now, what does a single vendor SASE solution mean? We have these agentic demands that are essentially going to need to have very strong security capabilities, but we no longer can just have good enough networking capabilities. A lot of our security competitors tend to say, hey, as long as I have great security capabilities, my SD-WAN capabilities can be good enough. They don't have to be great. The reality is with agentic AI, bandwidth-hungry operations at machine scale are going to be the norm. So what do you need to do? You need to make sure that traffic inspection happens in the right way. And we've brought together in a single vendor SASE solution world-class SD-WAN capabilities and world-class SSE capabilities together. So this is something that you should continue to keep expecting us to keep enhancing and investing in, because we want to make sure that we provide the workplace with any agent being able to connect to any application in as expedient a manner as possible, but also as secure a manner as possible, right? So, essentially, let's go to the third area now, which is what do we need to do to deliver great experiences with AI in Campus Branch? And there's no better way in our WebEx portfolio than to just show it in a video. So let's roll tape. Here's what I'll leave you with on the WebEx side is if you don't happen to have a conference room equipped with a Cisco device, you're missing out on life. So you should just make sure that whatever you do, you move those conference rooms to Cisco devices that work with any of the platforms, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google, or of course WebEx. So basically that's future-proof workplaces. We talked about a lot around networking, we talked a lot around management, and we talked a lot around what's happening with WebEx. The third area that I want to talk about real quickly is digital resilience, which is the ability, again, to stay secure, up and running, regardless of the kind of disruption that you encounter. Now, the challenge with infrastructure resilience in general and troubleshooting when something goes sideways is it takes the first 3-4 hours in a war room trying to figure out what the issue is before you can even do something about the issue. And so this correlation of data so that you can compress the time to investigation and do better detections is essentially a data problem. And we need to make sure that we have the right data that can be correlated together effectively so that you can provide that as quickly as possible so that the response and remediation is where we spend most of our time rather than on the investigation and detection of what goes wrong. And in Cisco, with Splunk, we can solve this problem like no one else. Because what we are able to do with Splunk is take telemetry from a multitude of different sources, from the network, from the operational systems, from applications, from the infrastructure that you might have, security logs, and actually ingest that, or have it be federated, but just make sure that you're correlating that data on an ongoing basis. It's a huge breadth of telemetry across a multitude of different sources. And as a result, what we need to do is make sure that we not only just take this data and correlate it, we want to embed Splunk throughout Cisco's portfolio, right? And so what we're doing now is we've completely thought about making sure that we embed Splunk in Cisco's portfolio with this all-new Cisco Data Fabric that we announced back at Splunk's .conf conference. Now, what does it do? Not only does it ingest data from Cisco and Talos and 2,000 other third-party sources, but we can also federate data now. So you don't have to bring all the data into Splunk, which can get to be prohibitively expensive. So we can federate data. So you can federate data and analytics. Rather than bringing the data to Splunk, you can actually have the search and analytics from Splunk go to the data. And so if you happen to have an S3 store, if you happen to have a Snowflake store, if you happen to have an Azure store, we can now start federating that data and keep the data where it is, and we'll take our search and analytics to that data. And then we can power observability and security operations across that entire stack. And we're taking advantage of this in two key areas, observability and SecOps. So first, let's take a look at what we're doing in observability. Because when you start thinking about observability, especially in an AI world, you want to make sure that you're observing the entirety of the stack. And you have to reimagine that stack. And why is that? Because you want to make sure that that stack that you're reimagining is everything from the silicon and the GPU. How is the GPU being utilized? To how is the network latency, and is that slowing down the GPU? To how is the compute utilization working? How is the data working? How are the models working? And how are the applications working on top of the model? You need to have that end-to-end observability of the full stack. And that's what we've developed with Observability for AI. And so essentially what you have now is this amazing set of end-to-end observability. And today we've got AI infrastructure monitoring available now. That's something that's there. And that basically provides you with real-time operational metrics and tokenomics and workloads so that you understand the token economics, how much energy, how much is it costing you to generate a token? But number two, what we also need to have is AI agent monitoring. And essentially what that allows you to do is detect hallucinations, detect model drift that's happening in the agents. And that's going to be in alpha in April of 2026. So tremendous amount of progress that we're making across the board. It also integrates with AI defense as we move forward. And essentially what you're seeing over here is we're essentially using agentic AI for having full visibility. But now let's talk about what we can do from a SecOps perspective to operate at machine scale. So we're thrilled to announce a brand new Splunk Enterprise Security Premier Edition. And this is a big deal because this was something that we actually announced at .conf. It is now available in GA today for you to go out and use, right? And this, the Security Premier Edition basically is the best SOC experience you can see in the market, and it unlocks Agentic Ops for a SOC analyst. So now you have agents that are helping the SOC analyst go out and continue to keep monitoring threats where there's not this level of pressure on humans being able to go out and handle threats that are coming in at machine scale. And so what we are announcing over here is the ability in Agentic Ops to have three things. Available now is malware reversal. That's number one. But what we'll also have is triage capabilities and playbook authoring. And that's going to be something that we'll have in alpha in April of 26. So as you can see, the momentum with which we're moving over here is extremely, extremely fast. So as we start thinking about this, Cisco is building essentially the fabric for machine data, which is the logs, metrics, events, traces with Splunk for agentic AI. Because if you think about humans, every morning we wake up, one of the first things we consume is machine data. You check the weather. That's machine data. Agents also have to check machine data. And today, human telemetry is all that the models are trained on. We need to make sure that time series machine data also gets incorporated in there. And that's what we'll be able to do with the machine data fabric, right, for agentic AI. Now, before I close out, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. I know we've gone a little bit over, but I think it's worthwhile to make sure that we re-emphasize this. If there's one thing you take away from today, is that we're building a completely integrated platform. That integrated platform has full stack innovation from silicon all the way to the application. We need to make sure that security is fused into the fabric of the network, because these agents are going to require, and the next era of AI is going to require that we actually secure this in a very different way than the way that we've been doing it so far. Third, there's going to be a common data platform. And number 4 is we're going to have completely reimagined and simplified Agentic Ops for managing your entire infrastructure estate, right? And nowhere will that platform vision be more powerful than with Cisco Cloud Control. And Cisco Cloud Control, essentially, is this scaffolding that is going to have all of the management planes over time actually start adding value to a central location. It's going to be one central place where you can go out and manage Nexus One, you can go out and manage Security Cloud Control, you can manage Intersight, you can manage Meraki Dashboard, you can manage Splunk. These are things that this is the direction we're going down. And in the meanwhile, we've shown you a tremendous amount of progress where we've unified the platforms in each one of those domains. You have Nexus One, which is one platform. You have Security Cloud Control, which is one platform for security. Meraki and Catalyst have come together now. So there's a tremendous amount of simplification that we've driven because we want to make sure that infrastructure becomes plug and play for you. This is the thing that you should be spending the least amount of calories thinking about so that you can spend the calories further up in the stack on how do you go out and fundamentally rethink your business. So this is going to be an amazing year. I'm so excited about what we have to offer. And I hope that you folks can dig in, go to the booth, and actually see the demos of all of these technologies. And with that, let me actually introduce Adeli to the stage, who's going to talk to us a little bit about how we make you successful.
Good morning, everyone. Woo! So, the innovation that G2 just shared, it's incredible. My customer experience team, together with our partners, are here to ensure you reach your business goal with the best Cisco portfolio ever. Now, before we get started there, let's do a little experiment all together. Please, everyone, look at your watch for 5 seconds. Great, thank you. The result is we just lost 5 precious seconds of our life. But at least we now know what time it is. Now, the real question is, was it worth it? Well, probably no. But actually, in business, we constantly do that when we search for information. We look down instead of ahead. But now imagine an heads-up display right in front of you. Your speed, navigation, every potential hazard right in your field of vision, like a pilot would see. Well, an heads-up display doesn't just make you more present. It makes you smarter, safer, faster. And that's the reason why, in CX, we want to provide you with a personalized heads-up display for your operations. By providing data and insight, we help you identify and solving obstacles and accelerate your path to innovation with confidence. Because we know that to lead at the speed of AI, you need more than a clearer view. You need a new way to move. Actually, you need a new CX. Proactive, not just reactive. Hyper-personalized, not generic. moving with speed but with no compromise. And that's exactly why we have completely reshaped and simplified our portfolio. Our support services now offer flexible tier and provide AI-driven and expert-led support that precisely meets your needs. That includes signature support that protect your most critical assets with a 15 minutes response time, guaranteed restoration SLA, backed by dedicated team of experts. When it comes to professional services, with the new services code methodology, well, we can offer an automated, data-driven workflow that significantly accelerates your transformation. And if we look at the potential, well, it's just undeniable. 30 to 50% reduction in unplanned downtime. 30 to 50% reduction in security risk. 2 times faster implementation, just to mention few of them. These are not just incremental gain. These are actually exponential leaps. And our customers are seeing all of that. And here the best part, my preferred one. All Cisco services are now underpinned by Cisco IQ, the AI engine fueled by years of operational knowledge. With Cisco IQ, we are embedding AI directly into your operation. By providing asset insight and assessment, well, we don't just fix problems, we prevent them. And when issues do happen, we can fix them significantly faster and with less effort. But all of that is about technology. But technology is half of the story. Equally important is our talent. And our approach, Agentic AI, combined with human expertise, well, that allows us to create a fantastic ecosystem where Cisco AI and experts work together alongside your team and with our partners. So with that, we are really redefining customer experience for the AI era. Think of us as an heads-up display that provides you trust, time to value, and the smart integration of AI and talent. But to show you how that works in reality, please welcome to the stage Ralph, that is the global head of IT platform at Nestle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ralph, great to have you with us today. So, your company has an amazing story that starts in 1866. So please, can you tell us a bit more about Nestle?
Look, Nestle is a leading food and beverage company in the world. We have famous products from Nescafe and Nespresso to Purina PetCare for our beloved pets.
Yes.
To, I think in Netherlands, one of the famous brands is Bros, a chocolate bar. Yeah. So we have from global tradition to local tradition, everything in our portfolio.
That's fantastic. And you have a very tough job. So you have to guarantee connectivity across such a large organization. And that sounds quite complex. So can you tell us a bit about which are the main challenges that you are facing right now?
Look, infrastructure is a bit of a fortune teller job, right? Because we need to predict a year or 2 years ahead before the business comes, I want to use now AI, and our networks have to be ready, for example, right? And so you always have to be on the watch out what's going on. And with our size and complexity, yes, we have 350 factories around the world, 1,700 locations.
Wow.
In all parts of the geography.
Yes. And I think that when you have to manage with such complex organization, modernization can be one of the ways to simplify that complexity. Is that the case? What are you doing there?
Yeah, look, we just recently worked very successful with you and Singtel together on a network monetization. And basically, I went to the team like children in a toy store. I said, I want a more resilient network. I want it cheaper. I want it to be AI ready, and I want it to be centered around the cloud.
That sounds familiar, right?
So
I think that,
like when you go shopping with children, you know how that is. So I was the child. So, and we worked together with your team, and as I said before, with Singtel, and we came up with a new network design. How can we do network smarter, faster? I wanted to get out of this trap where it took 6 months to connect an Espresso boutique. Sometimes I only get a 1 week or 2 weeks warning, hey, we have a new boutique. So we reimagined everything. And going fast forward, we are, let's say, 8 months into the deployment. We are halfway done. Last year, we achieved a 50% reduction of critical incidents.
Wow.
We have an availability of 99.97. So it's going really, really well.
Very good. And what is coming next? What really is your aspiration?
Yeah, what's coming next? Look, it's all around AI and AI centered, right? We need to reimagine it from two parts. So how can AI help me to run my infrastructure better? But also, what can I do different? What is outside of the box? So we're working now with your team on observability, right? And observability in the past was a very technical thing. These days, observability starts with your business process. What's your end-to-end process? And how does it flow all the way to the last router, to the last switch, to the last cable? So that's what we are focusing on right now.
And Raf, you and I, we really shared the concept of using AI, not just to automate the existing workflow or business process, but really to completely reinvent that.
Yes, clearly, if you just use AI to do what you do today, you just do automation. But AI is so much more. You really need to rethink and reimagine. So really, you have an input, you have your inputs clear, you know what your output is there. And then forget everything in between, redo it, reimagine it, do it different. That's really where we need to go.
Great. And you are the first customer in EMEA using Cisco IQ. What is your first impression that you can share with all of us?
Look, the team is extremely happy, and I'm happy as well, because one of my biggest battles is always replacement cycles. Yes, and sometimes your CFO may not agree with you to replace the switch already after 5 years. So Cisco IQ gives me a great insight where I can go fact-based to the finance community and say, look, if you don't replace it, we have it more difficult to patching. Patching sometimes takes downtime. We try to avoid it. So let's make sure we stay up to date with our landscape.
Great.
So the team is really happy with it.
So visibility and preventing issues.
Yes.
That's exactly what you are saying. Now, I'm sure that in the audience, there are few other people that are going through the same journey. Any advice that you can share with them?
Any advice? Be the kid in the toy store. Don't stop by what you know. Go further. Push harder. You can have everything. You can have cost reduction. You can have a more resilient network. You can be AI ready. In Nestle today, we have around 100,000 users using AI every single day. And that's impacting your network. So reimagine everything. Don't get stuck in the patterns you have always thought it.
In the old thinking.
Yeah.
And now with the new product, with the incredible innovation, we can do all of that. But as we wrap up, the most important questions. What is your favorite Nestle product?
My favorite Nestle product. So look, you don't want to talk to me before I had my first Nespresso. So when I get up in the morning, and I work for Nestle, so I have both an espresso system. So I have first my big mug of coffee, so I wake up. Then throughout the day, I have a bit of San Pellegrino as well.
During the day, not too much coffee.
And a few coffees as well. When I was a child, my most favorite Nestle product was actually a Maggi product. It was ravioli in can. I don't know who of you knows that. That's what I grew up. Yeah, I loved it. Even later on in life, when I was living alone at home and didn't know how to cook, it was easy to make. So yeah.
I love that. And Raf, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for your partnership and what you are doing for your company. Thank you. By the way, If any one of you is wondering what is my favorite ones, is Kit Kat. And with that, Gordon, come back to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele. Thank you, Ralph. Well, we're going to move from one unique brand to another one. Let's roll the video.
Welcome to the new Santiago Bernabéu. Steeped in history, transformed for the future. Ready to revolutionize the experience for sports fans in their seats and around the world. Featuring Europe's first secure SDA network, connecting fans to next-generation possibilities. Reliable fast Wi-Fi 6 for unimaginable interactivity. Vision Edge dynamic signage generating state-of-the-art digital imagery and cloud-based broadcast, giving 500 million global viewers a front row seat. The future of fandom is here, and powered by Cisco.
Wow. As a football fanatic and a Cisco employee, that makes me so proud to watch that video. Please join me in welcoming the architect of that vision, the CIO of Real Madrid, Enrique Urial.
Go ahead. Nice to see you.
You too, you too. Now, the first time I asked Enrique to speak with me, for those of you who follow football know this is a problem. I asked him to speak with me in Barcelona.
Yes.
How did you cope?
Come on, that's a fantastic city. It's part of Spain. I love Barcelona.
But we met at Mobile World Congress, and you were nearing the completion of the refresh of the stadium. And, you know, you've changed the game in terms of fan experience. Real Madrid is not just known for being the best football club in the world, I think.
Yeah.
But you're also now known for and recognized for the digital transformation that you've delivered at the Bernabeu. Amazing.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting us to be here and share that experience with all of you. Let's move from deep technology to talk about football, simpler things, by the way. And I guess that this incredible audience are most of you Real Madrid fans and followers. You don't have to respond, okay? So, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Think in your life, everything around you, what's traveling, shopping, all around you, there's a magic word that is always with you, that today is the trend of fashion. Do you know what word I am talking about?
I think that word's experience.
That's right, fan experience. So when you ask me about technology, I'm thinking about fan experience. Look, what's fan experience? From the technology standpoint, for us, fan experience is a perfect recipe that has three key ingredients. Is the who, is the where, and the how. The who are the fans. The where is the stadium. And the how is the technology. Technology is actually the glue between people and building. It's the way to connect people with the building. And that building, that project that you mentioned before, is a real, we used to call this a digital revolution because it has 5 pillars, have deep foundation that are innovation, is a smart building, is a new way of making TV. We are a content delivery factory, and of course, one is the most important thing, is a connectivity example. Isolated one by one, they are not an innovation or a revolution, but all together in the sports industry, believe me, is a revolution.
It's amazing, right? And earlier on today, we talked about technology, we talked about trust, talent, we talked about time as well. But let's start with technology. Let's look at the technology that underpins everything you've built there. To be able to move from a La Liga league match to a Taylor Swift concert to an NFL game all instantaneously. Talk to us about the tech.
Time. Time is really critical. Time matters, and time matters a lot.
Okay.
Look, in the past, when we have technologies, those technologies used to be usable for 4 or 5 years. So you have time to think if you are going to be an innovator, a pioneer, a conservative, or even a laggard, depending. But now, that time has been reduced dramatically. So you have no time to think. So you need leadership. You need a capability for decision maker to adopt all the technologies that keeps you leading the industry. Otherwise, you will be in the queue of the line, at the end of the queue. So that means that you are a follower, you are not a leader. And this is very difficult from a buyer perspective. I am going to give you a very funny example of how time is important. Wi-Fi. Everybody knows about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is extremely mature technology. But look, in 5 years, we started designing the stadium on Wi-Fi 4. We went into RFP in Wi-Fi 5, and we finally deployed Wi-Fi 6. And now we are, again, renewing for Wi-Fi 7 in 5 years. That is terrible. So it's very difficult to follow the pace of technology today. And moreover, we were really innovators with you. We are really proud to say that together with Cisco, we were one of the first early adopters of IP telephoning in 2001, high-density Wi-Fi in 2010, SDA networks, AV networks, IPTV, all of them. And we are really, really comfortable together with you. But on the other hand, we are feeling that the market is present really and imposing, seems to impose you the technologies that you have to adopt. That's very dangerous because if not, looks like you are going to be left out, and that's not true. So you have to be really cautious what is the technology that you implement, because not all the technologies are for everybody. Believe me, that's dangerous. So you have to take your time to decide when you are an innovator, when you are a conservative, and where you spend the money. AI is critical, but you need to find the real business case that adapt clearly to your business and don't make you waste money and time.
I hear you. So time and technology coming together. But you have an interesting framework around how you deploy technology, 5 different areas in terms of how you deploy technology. Can you maybe just spend a minute explaining what those areas are?
Well, about talent we are talking now.
Would you want to go to talent?
I prefer to go to talent because that's very important.
Okay, let's go to talent.
We'll go to talent because that makes sense to go about talent. Look.
But you've been in role for a long time. A long time. Right,
1999. Come on, I'm too old.
Right. But 1999, so you've seen a lot of changes through industry then, right? And I know at the heart of it, you're always thinking about how you embrace talent, embrace skills, bring them through. So talk to us about talent.
Yeah, I see 2 problems here. Because talent is maybe one of the most difficult things that we have in our hands today. The first of all is together with the technology. It's absolutely impossible to have your team absolutely skilled and trained in all the different technologies that are arising. AI, quantum, everything. So what we are doing is to keep the key know-how, the core business know-how inside our building and have all around an ecosystem of vendors, key vendors like Cisco that are delivering us the key projects and at the same time teaching our team to acquire that, transferring that knowledge and acquiring to the company. That is very critical. And the second problem is the lack of professionals in the market really skilled today, because there are a lot of people, a lot of consultants saying that they are really the key vendor for providing you with all those technologies. Be cautious, that's not true. And at this moment, I want to highlight something, if I can, and that's the incredible project you have at Cisco. I saw it firsthand in Dubai last January, and it's the Net Academy. You are putting a lot of money training professionals all around the world in your technology, so you are spreading that knowledge all around the world and preparing those professionals, and maybe you are solving the problem of the lack of professionals in the market.
This is our commitment to train another 10 million to drive that capability as you talk about. Thank you for mentioning it. Everything also relies on trust.
Yeah, the 4 T.
Yeah, the 4th T. You have 80,000 concurrent users in the stadium. So trust becomes really important.
Yeah.
And you're using some of our technologies like Cisco ISE and Umbrella to keep your foundation resilient. Can you maybe explain how we've been working together over the last 2 decades to embed that trust into your architecture?
Absolutely. So let me go back to the beginning of the project. We have been Cisco users since 2000. Not too bad.
Not bad.
Our loyalty is
there.
Yeah. But think that when we were preparing this new project and thinking on this fan experience and delivering the best first-class stadium in the world, one of the first things we start doing is to preparing buckets where we can put the name of the companies that can deliver that technology. And in the case of the connectivity, talking about data center, campus, content delivering, we put all those names of those companies, only those that are in the top right part of the Gartner Magic Quadrant in each particular domain. And do you know the only name that was present in all the buckets? Starting from H? No.
I think it may have been Cisco.
It's Cisco, correct. So together with our experts, we decided to say, okay, this is the company that is the only one that can deliver end-to-end, a value chain, seamless, and providing robustness, reliability, scalability, and a present and a future. There are a lot of maybe cheaper, faster, even solutions that somebody says that is out of the box. They are not on the market. But the way in we design together the network is unique. Let me give you an example. The campus sounds very easy. Okay, a stack of switches connecting and so on. No, we design 3 networks. One is the classical IT network. It's classical. I call classical, but it's an SDA network. We were early adopters earlier. So that's fantastic because provide you not only the capability for providing all the services at any part of the stadium, but in a secure way. That's very important. The second one is the AV network. Why having an AV network? Because we are managing gigas and terabytes of information per second. Imagine we have 16 4K native cameras connected directly to the network, no compression, mixing images and throwing it to the halo, and no delay. That deserves an incredible performance.
Does.
And the third one is a legacy network. Level 2, transport. Why? Because we have a lot of people coming to our stadium to create their own show. And they don't want to use our network, our policies, our firewalls and everything. So it's just transport. So, and we have the example of the NFL. Recently, they came to the stadium, they came and they used that campus, and they felt really comfortable, and the success was there. But there is always a but.
Okay.
The more connected you are, the more exposed you are to a cyber attack. So the cybersecurity architecture that we have in place at Bernabeu Stadium is impressive. We have to homologate solutions, we have to make red team attacks to all the solutions just to feel comfortable. And in that way, for protecting the stadium, solutions like ISE and Umbrella plays a key role.
I love it. I love it. And G2 loved your message around the end-to-end platform that you're building with our technology. Let's close by asking you what's in store for the future for the Bernabeu.
Please let me finish the stadium first. I'm really tired about finishing. But you are right. I'm more than overwhelmed about all the things that I have heard this morning here. So I'm absolutely sure that that's going to come to a stadium. You are going to start helping us to provide this. So I'm going to put the question back to you. How do you think that Cisco can put all those technologies to help somebody like us?
Well, I think, Enrique, the future stadium isn't just a connected stadium, it's an intelligent stadium. And this is what we're striving for. With the network and with AI at its core, I think the stadium becomes a living system for you. It senses crowd flow, it understands energy use, monitors security for you, and it looks at the match itself and adapts in real time for you. Fans move faster, queues disappear, personalization is everywhere for you. Every fan has a unique digital journey, personalized entry, seat-specific replays, tailored highlights during and after the match, 80,000 fans, 80,000 different experiences. And you know what? The aspiration is simple through our partnership. Transform the stadium venue into an intelligent, emotional, borderless experience powered by AI. I'm telling you, Real Madrid and Cisco together are going to shoot for the
Give me a hug and Jason, it's incredible. So now I have my takeaways. Thank you so much.
Enrique, pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Please, for Enrique. So what's next for us all? Because guess what? The week is only just beginning. You heard from Jitu about all of our innovation today. Don't just take our word for it. Head over to the world of solutions and step right into the Cisco showcase. I've already had a sneak peek. My personal favorite, capture the flag for all those engineers out there. A really great hands-on opportunity. Whatever's up your street, the experts are there, the tech is ready, and the energy is electric, it's live, it's interactive, and it's waiting for you today. So I'd like to finish by saying, looking across this room, you're not just technology leaders, you are the architects that will unlock AI potential across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Cisco's goal is simple: to help you capture this time, to be your trusted partner, to make sure you have the technology and innovation that you need to scale. It's a really exciting time, and we're in the driving seat together. So let's not just let the future happen. Let's get building it together. Let's meet this moment. Thank you, everybody. Have a phenomenal week at Cisco Live. Take care.